What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Ty with Opinionated Grind. I am back again today with yet another video. And man, this is absolutely crazy, guys. We're talking about that whole situation with Verizon, that major service outage that they had yesterday, that actually affected millions of customers. And it, as you all know, it impacted the cell service to the point where people could not use their phones. Okay, so let me know down below in the comment section if you're actually a Verizon customer. Let me know how you felt about it. What was going through your mind at the time when you weren't able to use your phone. Guys, it's unfortunate because regardless of what service carrier that you pay every month for service, we all need our phones. Okay, our entire lives is wrapped around these phones, at least from a digital aspect. So we're talking about our photos, videos, access to social media, all of our important apps, phone calls, text messages, emails, everything that we cherish is on these devices, okay? And we need wireless service in order to be able, to use those services. So when that service goes down, you're dead in the water. So you guys know when it enters SOS mode, talking about your phone, that means your phone is pretty much dead. Like, the only thing that you can do with that phone at that point is make an emergency call, okay? And, we had people yesterday, guys, that said, hey, a lot of folks said that their phone was in SOS mode for several hours, okay? And as you guys know, usually when you don't have your phone, either physically, like say you left it at home or you lost it or it got destroyed, or in a situation like this where you have no service at all, what generally happens, guys, an emergency will come up, okay? And now you're like, oh my God, I can't make a phone call, I can't send a text message, I can't check on loved ones, okay? So it just goes to show you how the world has shifted to this pretty much all digital, society that we live in, or I should at least say an all digital reality, okay? So, I guess the story goes, guys, it went down around 12 p.m. yesterday, midday. And I think I first heard about it, it was on either the radio or I was maybe scrolling or something, and I just happened to see it. And, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, well, no big deal. This is why they hire thousands of technicians to, keep the service up, okay? But as time went on, again, hours and hours later, I started getting a little bit concerned. I said, something doesn't sit right, man, with this whole situation. And if you think about it, guys, this is actually not the first time this has happened, or at least something similar like this has happened. If you remember, AT&T also went through the same thing. I think that was back in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, everybody. And it wasn't actually even, I don't think it was reported until like March of 2024 or something like that, which is a long time, okay? Now, that AT&T situation was an actual data breach, okay? Which is still bad because you have customers' personal data being leaked to the hackers, right? And I think also T-Mobile faced something similar like that as well, with like a massive data breach, okay? Which is starting to be more and more common, unfortunately, you see. So with the Verizon situation with the outage, I was like, you know what? That could be a cyber attack, guys. I mean, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it, man. I think that was a major cyber attack. Sorry about that, guys. My phone is going off. And I think, man, that's really a cause for concern. Now, of course, Verizon hasn't came out and made that statement to say, hey, the official statement is that this is what it was. But if you think about it, what else could it be? How could that just happen in the drop of a dime like that? Okay, so I'm gonna put up just a little bit of information on it, guys, from Verizon themselves. Of course, they put out, a little bit of information on what happened. According to Verizon, the service was restored 10 p.m. last night, okay? And then they were telling everybody, they said, hey, If your phone is still like not working, they said try resetting it, and then once it restarts, it should be able to reboot back on their network, and then you should be good to go. Okay, guys. But the information is right here. I'm gonna put it up on the screen, and just to kind of tell you guys what Verizon is saying, if you haven't seen it already. Should be up on the screen, guys. It says that today we let many of our customers down, and for that we are truly sorry. Verizon said in a statement shared on X. Goes on to say, guys, that the company did not disclose further details about the scope of the disruption. On January 15th, Verizon also announced that it will issue $20 credits to those affected by the outage. Okay, so that's the official statement, guys. You know, they say, hey, you know, we're sorry we let you guys down, you know, and we're gonna be giving everybody $20, even though everybody's phone was down for several hours yesterday, and nobody could do anything with their phones. Okay, so let me know down below in the comment section how y'all feel about the situation. Like I said, but that's the latest on that. The Verizon outage did end last night, so you know, if you were affected by it, your phone should be working. I'm not sure what the $20 credit is going to do. I mean, that's, you know, just a slap on the wrist. I mean, it's like, hey, you know, we're sorry, you know, and this is all we can do for you, you know. So, but if they're going to issue the $20 credit, I don't see no problem with that, man. But to piggyback off what I said, guys, you know, this, to me, in my personal opinion, I think this was a cyber attack. Okay, I think Verizon knows it was a cyber attack from hackers, very skilled, highly trained hackers, might I add. And you know, these guys, you know, they know what they're doing. Okay, then again, we talked about those 2 other data breaches that happened with AT&T and T-Mobile as well. So I'll say this: thank God that all the services didn't go down at one time. Imagine that, guys. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people affected nationwide. Okay, now the business side of Verizon, again, I'm not sure if that was actually affected or not. It doesn't say if that was if that was a thing. If you guys know, let me know down below in the comment section. But just imagine if those services go down too. How many thousands and thousands of businesses that depend on these services would also come to a halt. Okay, we're talking about, you know, assembly lines, guys. You know, we're talking about airports. You know, we're talking about all type of different, you know, companies and businesses that depend on their software to be run efficiently, and not just efficiently, but it needs to be run 24/7, 365. Okay, so I'll say this in a nutshell, guys. I think with this whole Verizon Wireless situation and the other 2 carriers, you know, it just shows how weak our infrastructure truly is. That's really what my opinion is, guys. I think we have a very weak infrastructure. It doesn't take much for us to go into chaos, and that's the God's honest truth, man. We're talking about the cell phone services, you know, but what if they attack the water supply in the country? Okay, what if they attack, you know, the utilities, like your power, you know, or the gas? Again, like I said, the water. You see what I'm saying, guys? I mean, like the power grid. You know, it's just certain things that this country is very, very vulnerable to from hackers and cyber criminals, that without those services, this country will fall apart in the drop of a dime. It doesn't take much, guys, you know, for us to go back to the Stone Ages. Okay, this is why they make, you know, TV shows and movies about this stuff. It's the truth. Okay, but moving forward in 2026, you know, I don't know, guys. I just have a feeling, you know, this is probably just the beginning. You know, not to scare anybody, but you know, we just don't know what else is coming down the pipe for the rest of this year. And remember that this is only January, and this is already happening now. So I think, guys, somebody behind the scenes, some major, hacking ring somewhere, they're testing the waters. They want to see, how far they can push the envelope. They want to see what else they can mess up for the country. You see what I'm saying, guys? What else can we destroy? And then they want to sit back and watch and see how it's going to affect people individually and I think on a massive scale. Because if they can get those responses, you see what I'm saying, guys? And again, like I just mentioned, we can affect certain things. We know it's going to mess society up. Okay, it's going to, create chaos. And I think, at the end of the day, this is what they want. Okay. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Like I said, I'm glad everything is back up. I would just tell everybody, man, keep your eyes and ears open. Don't be too naive to certain things, man. Just pay attention to everything that's going on around us at all times in 2026. Okay, because that's the only way that we really going to be able to be like prepared as much as possible for whatever else is being planned. Okay, but let me know down on the comment section, like I said, what you guys think it is. But that's my thoughts on it, man. I think this is some major cyber criminals out here with these attacks, and who knows, they may not be through. All right, so drop a like on the video, comment, share the video, and make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button. All right, so I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.